Hello, my fellow readers. Today is going to be a special video where I am going to show you Novelist Plus. Novelist is a book discovery platform, or what we usually term database in the library world. It is library centered, that meaning only that you need to access it through a library. So if what you see today interests you at all, please check with your local library to see if you offer Novelist Plus. My library does, but just know Novelist Plus is all about book discovery. So if you like this at all, please check out Novelist. They are perfect for finding your next read when you are stuck. Like if you really liked a book and you want something similar to it, Novelist is really the place where you should go. There are, of course, recommended reads, I'll say, from Goodreads or Amazon, but I have found that none of them match what Novelist is able to do. And I like Novelist, and it's very easy. I'm lucky enough to have access to Novelist Plus through my library, and that is how I know that you should check it out if you are at all interested in being able to discover lots about books. So without further ado, here is Novelist Plus. So here we are on my computer, and this is the main portal to Novelist. And if you do have Novelist through your local library, you'll probably see a landing page similar to this, especially if they have Novelist Plus. So with Novelist Plus, we have access to the Explorer Educators Edition. I don't usually ever look at that because I don't need it for what I'm doing. Same with Novelist K through 8 Plus. This is really if you have kids and you want to check out some, more of the elementary and middle grade reads. That's going to be done through Novelist K8 Plus. This is really featured for children's literature. I don't spend too much time here either, other than if I'm teaching something on Novelist. And today I really just want to focus on Novelist Plus. So here's Novelist, and I'm just going to click the link here. I wish that these were buttons because I always think that these kind of graphics are buttons, but Novelist does not have them as buttons. So I actually have to click the old-fashioned link down below. And then Novelist loads. The first thing that I would recommend doing once you are on Novelist is going ahead and setting up an account. And you can do that through the sign in button up here. I'm going to click it. So click sign in and you will get this nice little login page. You can either go ahead and sign up here, or you can log in if you already have an account. If you have not heard of Novelist, you're probably going to have to go ahead and sign up. And I like to do mine. I'm just going to continue with my Google account, which is the easiest way to log in. And then once I'm all logged in, I will have more ability to save stuff that I find that I like. It just makes the whole book quest easier in the long run. Okay, so what do I use Novelist for? Novelist is really great for book discovery. So Novelist is the place you want to go when you want to find your next great read. Forget Goodreads and their weird suggestions, or Amazon. I mean, sometimes, yes, those places work, but sometimes it's just really frustrating. And if you want a site that actually is built for it, that you can probably access for free with your local library, that's going to be Novelist. So sometimes if I've really enjoyed a book and I want to find the next book, but I'm lost at where to go, I know that I can come here to help me discover my next great read. So I know that I really enjoyed If We Were Villains. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look up If We Were Villains with Novelist. And here is the book here. Yes, I love that it was character driven. That is actually usually my my go-to with books of whether or not I like them. If they are a strong character and it's character driven, I most likely will like the book. Some of the other stuff, Like the tone doesn't necessarily bother me. The genre doesn't necessarily matter to me. But if it has great character-driven storyline, then I'm most likely going to get invested in the book. And that is actually what I really loved about If We Were Villains, is the characters. And that's actually what I really like about Novelist, is you can see here the terms that are used here. So you can check out the genre, the character, the storyline, the pace, the tone, the writing style. And then what this does is it actually helps you down here to search for more. So you can go ahead and look up ones that you like. So if I really like character-driven books, I can choose character-driven and then do another search. But beyond that, and the first and easiest thing to do is, if I really like this book, right here off to the right, there's going to be a list of read-alikes. So these are books that they're saying, hey, you liked this book? You're probably going to like these. And I know so far that, yes, I've read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I've read Catherine House. I have not read My Sister, the Serial Killer yet, but I am thinking about it. And then it goes on. So there's The Painter, there's The Silent Patient, Fates and Furies, Outline, Nothing Ventured, and The Sleepwalker. And with any of these, if I am kind of interested to know why it's matched up here, I can always just click the book. You can hover over it too, as you might have just seen, but I like to do this. Okay, so the reason why this one was recommended or is a read-alike is because it's character-driven. So this one is bleak, moody, and steamy, but it is character-driven. And then its description is struggling with dark impulses after serving time for attempted murder. A successful artist gives in to his obsessions to kill an abusive troublemaker before fleeing authorities and the man's vengeful clan. Which actually does sound interesting. So there is much to be said about how they do this and how Novelist works, because it is definitely built for readers for you to find what you want to read next. And, you know, if I went down this list and I didn't like any of these, like I said, I can come down here and I can choose what it is that I really like. So if I really like that this was character driven, if I really like thrillers and suspense. I was thinking coming of age, but I really like thrillers and suspense more. And if I like high drama, then I can choose these and click search. And let's see what it pulls up. I'm actually really excited to see. Obviously, there's our main book that we like, If We Were Villains. But it also thinks that I might like The Best Lies, which does sound pretty interesting. And then also Sister of Mine, which also sounds interesting. And so that's another way that you can search out a book with Novelist, is that nice little, right from the book, you can do a further search for areas that you like. And of course, the more you narrow it down, the less results you'll get. So you can always expand that list. Also, I like that you can always do author read-alikes. So here's where they recommend what authors to try if you liked this author. And so far I am seeing definitely authors that I would match up to it for sure. Yeah, and maybe some that I would try out more. And you can always print this list if you want to look for books later or the authors. You can go ahead and print it. I'm going to hop back. Again, there's the title read-alikes. So if I click back in there, this should take me to the results that I had earlier. Yep, there's the results that were on this side. So if I did like those and wanted to be able to remember it, I could do that. Another feature, if I just go back home to Novelist, is right on their main page. So that's what you would do. You know, if you had a book that you really loved, that particular book, you could put it in there and it will give you your next books to read. I'm just scrolling down and I'm just looking at the Grady Hendrix book and I'm like, oh, a new one. I'm going to take a detour and take a look at the next Grady Hendrix book. That looks pretty good. I think that Grady Hendrix, I don't know, I almost feel like you either get it or you don't. I really enjoyed the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires from last year. And prior to that, I really liked My Best Friend's Exorcism prior to that. I haven't gotten to read Horror Story yet, but I want to because I've heard it's really, really good. So if you like horror and you're watching this right now, you probably know by now I do like horror, but I would recommend some Grady Hendrix if you like horror, especially if you like kind of that retro feel, like retro and or pop culture feel. For example, you know, if you kind of liked science fiction wise, Ready Player One, then you might also like Grady Hendrix. Just expect this to be on the opposite end where this is very dark and gruesome at times. But yeah, I think Grady Hendrix is another one who brings in a lot of like pop culture references, which I appreciate. So yeah, there's actually a couple of these books that I would not mind reading. But to get back to how you can find your next read, other than just browsing like I just did and thinking, oh, that looks good. Because you can do that down here. You can see these different genre kind of categories. So that was creepy and compelling. This is heartwarming and funny. Again, there's a lot that I would want to read here. On hold for this one. Really want to read this one. Oh, I haven't heard of that one, but it looks cute. And then fast-paced and suspenseful. Ooh, okay. And then romantic and dramatic. I have to read this one. I love Isabella Allende, so yeah, waiting for that one. And then there's also some teen books. So you can go to teen, you can go to middle grade, and more juvenile. So you can browse that as well if you're searching for your book. Or over here to the left, scroll up a little bit. Over here to the left, you will see recommended reads lists. And you can browse this either by fiction or nonfiction. And then inside of that, if I can click back over. And then inside of that, you can do adult, teen, ages 9 through 12, or ages 0 to 8. And then there's all these great categories. So you can browse audiobooks. There's a list for Australian and New Zealand fiction. There is the Best of 2020 fiction, Book Club Best Bets, Canadian fiction, fantasy, fiction A to Z, for fans of. And there's the graphic novels, manga, and anime one. I don't really actually know why they include anime. That's just weird to me. I think they probably do that just in case people don't know what manga is. But it's not like you're going to get anime recommendations. You can ask me and I'll give you some, but I don't know about here. Historical fiction, horror, literary fiction, mysteries, novelist staff faves, own voices fiction, romance, science fiction, thrillers and suspense, and westerns. So you can click on any of these. I actually want to check out the novelist staff faves. And this opens a larger list. Now, I don't know any of these people, so I don't know what to select. Let's just randomly check Caitlin Connor, and we'll see what Caitlin recommends. So here, one, we can find out about Caitlin Connor. So the description: as a reader's advisory librarian here at Novelist, I pride myself on being something of a generalist. I read pretty widely, myself as well, Caitlin. I'm partial to pulse-pounding or tear-jerking reads. Here are some of my favorite go-to recommendations. So we know right away from this description that we're going to find reads that are pulse-pounding or tear-jerking. And that actually appeals to me, and I recognize many of these titles. Again, this is one I need to read this. I've been eyeing it for a while now, and well, obviously it's been about 3 years, and I just haven't gotten to it yet, and I really need to. But I've read The Passage and Dark Matter, Cruel Prince. Ooh, even frog music's on here. Interesting. My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I just talked about. 11/22/63, that's a good one. The Proposal. Yeah, some interesting choices here. Oh, do you remember this one? The Beastie Boys book? Seems like only yesterday some of these were released, and it's been like forever. Final Girls. I actually just finished that book. One Day in December. In a Dark, Dark Wood. And then we have even some graphic novels here with Saga and the manga My Brother's Husband. So you can even see what Novelist staff are recommending, and I find that interesting. I like to see what other people are reading or have read and recommend. I always like to check out the graphic novel manga section. Let's see. Well, you know I am always up for fantasy, so let's see what they're recommending in fantasy manga or graphic novels. This one looks good, Little Girls. I kind of wish, just looking at this list and having a fantasy list, and I don't see Witch Hat Atelier on there. I'm just kind of like, really? And also, like, I'm looking at this list, or list of lists, and I'm not really seeing manga. Like, either make sure that there are manga choices included in all of these, or make it its own. Like, I do see josei and seinen. Does that mean that other manga are strictly reserved for the teen area? Like, is that what I'm going to find and are not just for teens? I just find that's kind of odd. Anyway, let's check out what it's saying for josei. So no huge surprises here. A lot of this is stuff you're going to find on any list. I don't know. I'm actually a little bit let down by this section. I might edit this whole thing out. I'm going to say that myself as a manga reader and reviewer, I really hate most things that deal with manga lists and whatnot that come from non-passionate manga readers. I really wish that they would hire more people that actually are really, really into it. I feel like sometimes it's people that get tossed into it. But I mean, I'm looking at this list and I could have just put this together based on like a generic Google search. There's nothing new, not really even any new works here. Like, what list are you going to find that's josei that does not have like Paradise Kiss and Nana, even Honey and Clover? And it's questionable whether or not to put yaoi and yuri in there. I mean, I like the inclusivity, but And even though I read this one, I think there's better titles. Even Everyone's Getting Married, I feel like there's better titles. I'm not going to argue at all with Princess Jellyfish or even Tokyo Tararebe Girls, which both of these are amazing stories. I just feel like, really? I also love Wotakoi, but I just feel like a lot of these, I'm like, if I were on Google for like 2 seconds, and sometimes too, there will be lists where manga is on there that is not the actual category, so they're not actually josei works, but they'll be listed on. I don't know. It's a whole thing that I sometimes have issues with. Apparently for manga they just do the josei and seinen. So anyway, maybe not the best website if you're a manga fan, but it is good for finding traditional literature. So if I like fantasy, which I do, I can click on the fantasy one, and then I'm trying to decide. I always have a problem with this too. Like, this is why I actually like to go by title, and go from books I really like more than the category part, because I have to click through all of these essentially, because I like to read all different kinds, and so it's a lot of clicking for me. But right now I'm going to try epic fantasy. I don't know what this one is, but I like the look of the book. An orphan girl raised alongside the heirs of Lord Alban in the great house beyond the wall discovers from a magus or magus. I like to say it the traditional magus way because it's from Latin, that there is more to her story than she ever thought possible. Interesting. So this is in the genre epic fantasy. The themes are hidden heritage. The storyline is intricately plotted, and the tone is mystical and suspenseful. And actually, this does sound interesting. Like, I would look up this one. And maybe that's what I will do. So, you will notice up here that there's these little icons where I can either print about this book, or I can email it to myself, or save it. And then there's this little folder one. And I can save this title to my folder. And I'll show you what that does after I'm done browsing for books. And I'm looking at the side because I want to see what this is compared to. And so far, like, I've read all of the first books that are listed here. The 100,000 Kingdoms, The Bear and the Nightingale, Name of the Wind, and Queen of the Tearling. And I've loved all of those. So I'm thinking I might enjoy this one. I did read The Waking Land too. There's some on here that I have not read yet, which also semi-intrigue me. But we'll move on for now because I added this one to my folder. And let's just see if there's any other ones that stick out to me. And two, I'm looking for ones I have not read. So if you see one and you're like, oh, that book's good, I probably already read it. For example, I've read that one, read that one. So I could just be going past it because I've already read it. Read that one. Maybe I talked about this one. I am actually kind of intrigued by this, so I'm going to add that to my folder. I don't think I've read this before. I hope I didn't. Have you ever had that happen where you're not sure if you read a book? Now, when I double check these in Goodreads, which I do in order to check the availability at the library at the same time, I will know whether or not I read it and just didn't remember. I do kind of like creepy carnival or circus type books, maybe because I do think they're kind of creepy. But yeah, I think it's a good setting. Like, I feel like a lot of circus type things are very atmospheric. So I do not mind them one bit. So that way is not my favorite way to discover the books. I really like, where I like to do the read-alikes, essentially, or I like to do the genre sorting. They're my favorite. And so again, you can, check out some other lists down here. Back to the folders, however. So I can go over here to my nice little folders. These are just my folders. Nobody else has access to them unless I share my list. And I can check out the book. So right now, I just have this in a generic pile. They're all just under books, lists, and articles. So I want these to go into a new list. So I'm going to go over here to new, and I'm going to create a new folder that I'm just going to call TBR. If I were going to have a lot in here, I'd probably break it down to maybe like fantasy TBR and whatever. But right now, I just want it to be my TBR. And I'm going to save that folder. And then I'm going to go back here and I'm going to go ahead and select all these books, and then I'm going to move them to and then TBR. And now I know that that's a separate list. Here's another list that I've created, a little folder. This is called Great Middle Grade Fantasy Reads. And yes, I do have plans to add more into this, but here are some great fantasy middle grades that I would share this list to people who are looking for great books for their kids. And there's a lot of potential there for, just creating lists and sharing it. So if I wanted to create a manga list that I could share and recommend with people, I can do that here. And you can see that I can email it to people, I can print it out, I can save it. A lot of like the print options, I could just hand it out to people. That sounds weird, like I'm on the street handing out book lists. But no, in general, I think it's really helpful to be able to compile lists for people who might be struggling with what to read, and maybe you do know or have recommendations. In fact, let's just see what it looks like if you go to print it. So I think it gives you a really great, I just noticed that the list cuts this off, so I'll probably try to edit this later so it's just great middle grade fantasy. But you can see it'll print out just like this, and here are the books for the list, and there you go. You can now search for these books at your local library. So another option that you have with getting recommendations and finding out what to read next is in this nice browse all keeping up pages. It's the keeping up pages in general. So these are special lists, depending on the genre that you like. So if I like fantasy, which I think we've established that I do, I can always click this keeping up section. I can scroll down, and here are the different options that I have. So I like that this does if you like this, then here's what they recommend. There's also the lists here that they've created. Here's some fantasy awards that you should get to know. And just more information about fantasy in general. If I scroll down, here's some resources that they like for fantasy. And Novelist also does little courses on fantasy, so understanding what fantasy is. And also they often highlight books you can do through the crash course. And these are all viewable on YouTube, so you can actually just search Novelist and or even crash course, and you can find some of these. And so these are a great way to learn more about, certain genres and pick out what to read next. So the last thing that you can do is if you do a search for a genre, an author, whatever that you've enjoyed, and you get these nice search results, you can actually click right up here to create alert for this search. And this will actually email you and notify you periodically when the list gets updated, which is actually kind of cool, that you have this option to be notified if there's something new, because this, Novelist will be updated quite frequently with new books and items. So I just think this is a pretty cool way to do that. I'm not going to save this only because I just did a general genre sort and or genre search. So there's too much things here. I would want something that is more specific. But I didn't want to put that in. I was just looking for a way to show you that there is this create alert option. And, you just put your email in and choose when you want it to send you the note. If you want it once a month, once a day, once a week, you just choose it there and then you save the alert. Again, I don't want to, so. But I would do it. Like, if I had something saved about dark academia, then I for sure would. But these are just some of the fun things that you can do with Novelist. Again, I really like it for if I've really enjoyed a book. And if you're lost or you want more, there's the great How Do I section. And there's even this nice option of learn how to use Novelist. And, they do have like little videos that you can watch. I recommend going to Novelist YouTube channel and seeing what they have. And this is the easiest way to become a power user of Novelist. But honestly, if you're sick of dealing with other websites and you just want to be able to put in a book that you really enjoyed and find your next read, Novelist is the kind of site for you. It's unfortunate that you have to access it through libraries. Well, to a degree, it's unfortunate because there's a lot of new things that are coming out that essentially utilize what this offers, but they're not locked behind this system. And it's unfortunate too, because I don't think that people are taking advantage of their libraries enough. And seriously, if you love books and reading, and this includes manga, then why are you not using your library? Because I'm telling you right now that they're going to have things to offer, but they won't if you do not use them and if you do not ask for those resources. So, if you are watching this, please consider visiting your local library and seeing what they have to offer and maybe having a discussion with some of the people there, because I'm sure that they are trying to do the best for your community and provide you with things that you want, but they may not feel that support from you, and without your support, they cannot offer it. Some of that comes into monetary things like taxes, like make sure that your budgets pass, because you might be funding your library that way, and where you might have been thinking, what good is it, now with Google and everything. I'm telling you, it's great. It is great. With the digital content that you can get from libraries for free to you. I mean, the minimal amount that you pay for your taxes, you're probably blowing with Netflix and other services that you could be just saving that money and using your library. It's also great if you're a space saver like me and you don't want to have too many books in your home. Yes, I like keeping my favorite books, but if I kept every book that I read, or even bought every book that I've read, my house would be overflowing and I would have wasted tons of money, like literally thousands upon thousands of dollars in books. And I didn't have to do that. You may have seen from, my check-in that I read usually close to 500 or 600 books a year. And a small percentage of that are books that I buy. The rest I get for free from the library. And I'm glad that I do, because I read way too much to spend that money. So not to go on a tangent, but check out your local library and support them, because I'm telling you, from video games to manga to traditional books to ebooks and audiobooks, the library is probably offering it. On top of that, some libraries, mine included, we have video services like Canopy that we're offering, or Hoopla, which does books and video streaming and music streaming. Hoopla's pretty amazing. And, these are all free, to a degree, to the minimal amount that you pay in taxes. And if you've never worked out how little you probably spend in your library tax, you can easily do that. And it's way less. Your taxes that you pay are probably going to be way less than your Netflix subscription, should you have one. So, it's a worthwhile investment to check out your library and see what you can get for free. But for sure, I think that Novelist is worth it. I think that more people should be exploring Novelist and letting it help you find your next great read. I definitely turn to Novelist when I really enjoyed a book and I'm just at a loss on what to try next, because sometimes the book, why I liked the book seems almost undefinable to me. So I do like that Novelist kind of curates this little list that I don't have to think about. And I can easily go, either, yeah, I've already read that, or, ooh, that looks good. It only takes a few seconds. Whereas sometimes if I try on other sites, I'm just frustrated and I'm like, that's not what I want. That's not what I'm going for. But I can often discover that on Novelist. So if you enjoyed checking out Novelist and you want to see more about using Novelist, or even just check out some of their great videos that they have about genres, I will leave a link to their YouTube channel down below. Yeah, they do a pretty good job at Novelist. I'm very happy to have access to this resource, and hopefully your library offers it for you as well. If you have any questions, you can shoot them down to me below in the comments, and I will answer to the best of my ability. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.